how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a video on my experiences with Accutane. So for those of you who don't know what Accutane is, it's a drug to treat acne or certain types of acne, and the actual name of the drug is Isotretinoin. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so I'm going to write it down in the description below. But the brand name, or the most known brand name of this drug, is Accutane. Yeah. What it is essentially is just a really potent form of vitamin A. So what it's supposed to do is completely dry out your skin, or I don't know if it stops it from producing oil or like that sebum on your skin. I think it does stop it. So it's, I mean, that's where acne essentially comes from the buildup of oils and stuff under your pores. Yeah, it's supposed to dry it all out. So basically, a little backstory. I had acne throughout high school, but that's pretty normal with puberty and everything. I think a lot of people get acne during high school. So yeah, it was kind of like on my forehead, chin, and that was about it. It was bad enough that it bothered me, and I think anyone who's had acne before knows that it's not a fun experience. It really does get to you, and it's not pleasant, it's not enjoyable, it's not easy to get rid of, and it kind of it often feels like you're never gonna get rid of it. But yeah, so anyways, fast forward through high school. Finally, when I got out of high school, my face it all cleared up, and I'd never had skin so clear. Like for a good 2 years, my skin was completely clear. I had no issues. It was great. It was amazing, especially coming from like having acne for 5 years throughout high school to having none. It was amazing. But of course it didn't last. So for some reason that acne came back, but it came back 20 times worse. And this time it wasn't just on my forehead or chin, it was practically all over. And it's almost worse, I think, when you're like in your 20s. I mean, at this point I think I was 20, 21. But for me, that felt worse than it ever did in high school, because in high school it feels like everyone has it, but once you hit 20, people just don't really have acne much anymore. If they do, it's not as common. So I felt very self-conscious about that. I hated, in my mind, being an adult with acne. It just, I don't know, I really struggled with it. It bothered me, so I eventually started trying a bunch of products, whether it be like different face washes to different creams you could buy from the drugstore. And nothing was working, nothing was getting rid of that acne. It just seemed to be worsening and worsening. So eventually I did go to the doctors, and over time he'd prescribe a few different things, and then we'd give it a few weeks, because most people know when you're trying acne products out, your acne will get worse in the first week or two, and then eventually it gets better. So yeah, I'd go to the doctors, I'd be sent home with a new cream or whatever, and I'd have to give that a try for a few weeks, wait and see if it worked, and then it wasn't working, so I'd go back and get something else, and it was a really long process, and I was really unhappy with the way I looked. It was really bothering me, and I started wearing more and more makeup to try and cover it up. But as you know, if you have ever had acne, covering it up with makeup is not a solution. It's not gonna get rid of it, and it's not easy either. Trying to cover it all up, sometimes it just ends up looking worse. And yeah, anyways, so I started doing my own research online. I wanted to try to see if I could find a solution, because the doctor route just didn't really seem to be working, and for some reason I never went to see a dermatologist. I don't know. Thinking about it now, it kind of seems silly, and it should have definitely been, I should have asked for it, or I don't know, it never happened. But anyway, so I was looking things up online and I came across Accutane. And to people who were using it or posting about it on YouTube, it was just this miracle drug that was clearing. You'd go on it for a couple months or a few months, and then you'd come out of it and you'd have no acne. It would completely clear people's acne and it would not come back. So obviously I really wanted it because, well, hey, it's if you only have to take it for a few months and it clears your acne, why wouldn't you do it, right? But I also read that it's very difficult to get a prescription for, and that doctors are often resilient, or they don't love giving out that prescription because there are quite a few side effects. But in my mind, it's kind of like being blinded by love or whatever. You don't really think about the side effects. You're just kind of like, oh, this is a cure, like I'm gonna do it, why not? It seems so easy. And so anyways, I went into the doctors. I was planning on asking for Accutane, but I was a bit apprehensive. I was worried that he'd say no, but funny enough, I asked for it, and right away he kind of agreed. He's like, yeah, no, I think that's the best course of action for you at this point. Nothing really seems to be working. Let's go for it. But in order to take Accutane, there are a few rules. So you do need to be on 2 forms of birth control. So you need to start the 2 forms of birth control a month before taking Accutane, and you need to be on it for a month after Accutane, or after you stop taking Accutane. So I already had an IUD, so my second form was a birth control pill. I wasn't too fond of the idea because I'd been on birth control before, and it didn't really agree with my body very well. But like I discussed it with the doctor, it was for a very short period of time. At this point, we were planning on just having me be on Accutane for 4 months, so that meant I'd be on the pill for 6 months in total. So just in my mind, it was kind of like, whatever, it's a risk, or it's something I'm not too fond of, but it's something I'm gonna do because I know it's gonna let me take this drug that will cure my face, essentially. So yeah. And then the other rule with Accutane is that you need to do a blood test monthly. And that is because it's just a really strong drug that can really badly affect your liver and kidneys and pancreas. So you just, every 4 weeks, the way it worked is I'd get like a 4-week prescription, and then I'd take it, and then I'd have to get my blood test, and in order to get the other 4 weeks of the prescription, I'd have to have like that blood test that cleared me, essentially saying that like everything was fine in my body. And before you do start it, they obviously check that everything is fine. And then the third rule is that you need to read this whole booklet by, I think it is actually by the brand Accutane, and it just explains everything, all the side effects. I guess they're just covering themselves, making you aware of what you're getting yourself into. And then the 4th thing was basically just a sheet of paper, a little questionnaire about mental health, where you had to kind of list if you were depressed, how your sleep was, whether you had support around you, just very basic things like that. I honestly think there was maybe 5 questions, and because one of the side effects is depression or suicide ideation, so I think they just want to check to make sure that you're not already depressed, because it could obviously worsen. Anyways, so everything checked out, everything was fine. I took my month of birth control before starting Accutane, and then once that month was up, I finally got my prescription, and I was so happy. I remember the day so well, like it was just ecstatic, because in my mind I was like, this is the first step to clearing my skin up, and after that I'm gonna be so pretty, my face is gonna be clear, I'm gonna be happy with myself because I'm not gonna hate the way I look. But yeah, anyway, so I started it, and they do warn you that in the first few weeks to a month, your skin can get way worse. And then it should start clearing up. So as expected, it did happen. In the first 2 weeks, my skin got really bad, but then it started clearing up, and it started clearing up really quickly too. So in the first month, my experience is pretty great because the bad part only lasted about 2 weeks, and then I started seeing results almost immediately. And I didn't feel any side effects at that point, so I was really happy about that. But then the second month, that's kind of when things got bad in a way. I started gaining weight, but I don't think that had anything to do with Accutane. I did gain weight before when I'd gone on birth control, so I do think that the weight gain was, I could attribute it to the birth control. And then the sweating came. That was that was so bad. Throughout the rest of the 3 months that I was on it, I sweated so badly. Like it was bad. I don't know what it was or why. I would literally like step outside and I'd be covered in a layer of sweat. It was disgusting, and well, I don't know, for me it was unusual, so I wasn't used to it, and I didn't feel clean. Oh, and I failed to mention that I started taking Accutane at the very end of April, and it was April 2016, so I was like 22, I think, and then I finished taking it August 2016. So I was taking it throughout the summer, and you do have to watch out for the sun and burns, because when you are on the drug, you are a lot more sensitive to the sun. So they do warn you to put a lot of sunscreen on and to try and stay away from the sun as much as possible. And because it was summer, that was a bit harder, but I am already pretty good at putting sunscreen on, so that wasn't really an issue for me, and I don't recall ever getting a really bad burn or anything. What else was there? Oh, and well, I guess with the sweating, it didn't help that it was throughout the summer when it's hot outside already. But what I am thankful for though, I am thankful that I was on it while it was summertime, because one of the main side effects is that it just completely dries out your skin. So your entire body, or at least my entire body, was dry. I had dry spots everywhere, and the dry lips, that was probably the worst. And it wasn't like, you're thinking, oh, chapped lips, that's really not a huge deal, but I'm gonna try and find a photo to show you like how bad it actually was. And it wasn't just the lips, like it was all around, and I have never gone through so many chapsticks in my life. And it was to the point that like I was putting it on so much that I was actually finishing the lip balms. And well, I don't know about you, but I usually never finish my lip balms because I either lose them or they just, I don't know, No, actually most of the time I lose them before I even get the chance to finish them, but that wasn't the case at all for this. I was actually going through so many lip balms, it was ridiculous. And that kind of really bothered me too, because while my acne was going away, my lips just looked awful, and my skin was very dry. So and I was working in a restaurant at the time, so obviously like my job is to talk to people and to be in public. So I was wearing makeup, and as I assume you know, trying to put makeup on dry skin is it's not easy. It's not gonna look good, or at least it just, for me, it was sticking to all those dry spots, and it wasn't pretty, and I didn't feel good about myself at all during that 4-month period. But the nice thing though, about the whole dry skin thing, was that I normally have kind of oily hair, or it gets oily after a few days because it is thinner. So I like never had to wash my hair. Well, no, obviously I did for like smell and hygienic reasons, but I normally go through quite a bit of dry shampoo, but at this point, like I'd forget how many days it's been since I washed my hair, because there's no oil there. It's pretty great. So I enjoyed that. I'm trying to think of like other things that were good. At this point, I'm kind of making it sound like it was a whole great experience, but realistically, those 4 months and the months following were really not that great. I did lose quite a bit of hair, so that is a common side effect as well. And like losing hair it's not that huge of a deal. I mean, every day we lose quite a bit of hair anyway. But for me, it was my eyelashes and my eyebrows. I lost quite a bit of hair on my eyebrows, like especially at the ends. And my eyelashes were coming out, and so like after those 4 months of being on it, it took a while for the eyelashes to grow back, but unfortunately the parts of the eyebrows that did thin out never really grew back. So I ended up getting my eyebrows microbladed because I wasn't happy with it, but so that was it wasn't that great. Sorry, I got my notes on it because there's a lot to talk about with this whole thing. There's a lot to it. The next thing was the joint pain and the back pain. So I personally already have arthritis. So while I don't always have joint pain and it comes and it goes, during that entire 4-month period, I had joint pain, and it was really bad. Like I'm used to having some sort of pain here and there, but this was the worst it had ever been. And it wasn't just like, at this point my pain is usually just in my hands and feet, but this was all over. Like I felt it everywhere, and it wasn't nice. It was very uncomfortable, and yeah, I wasn't sleeping very well because it would actually keep me up or wake me up throughout the night. And with that, there was back pain too, like lower back pain, and that is also a very common side effect. And then the last thing that really hit me was the whole depression thing. Like, I don't know whether it was depression or if the drug was just messing with my emotions or what, but going into it, I'd say that my mental health was pretty sound. Like I wasn't unhappy, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't overly anxious or anything like that. I felt pretty good, but a month in, that's when things kind of started not being that great. I have never cried so much in my life. While I was on Accutane, I was crying practically every single day, and like I didn't really have reasons. I wasn't unhappy. There was nothing that was going on that was bad, but I was crying daily for like no reason. I don't know, I didn't feel right. I felt sad all the time. Yeah, and I don't know what it was, and I know that it is a side effect and something that they do warn you to watch out for while you're on it. And for some people it gets so bad that they have to stop taking it. And honestly, towards the end, like, there was, with the combination of everything that was happening and all the side effects that I was feeling, there were so many times where I'd break down and just be like, okay, well, I can't do this. I can't do it anymore. Like, I'm gonna stop taking it, or I'm gonna go to the doctors and tell them I can't keep taking it. It's not good for me, and I'm not feeling right. I'm not feeling like myself. And yes, it's great that it's working and my acne is going away, but I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, and things were just getting worse and worse, and I just felt more and more depressed. And yeah, but then eventually, from like talking to a few people who were around me, I decided to know, like, I'm at 3 months, or I've already done 3 months. There's only like a month left. Let's just keep going. I can do this. It's 1 more month. It's gonna be okay. And I'm actually so thankful that I did this during the summer, because I feel like if it'd been winter and it was raining and the whole like weather thing would have really affected me. But I'm really happy that it was in the summer while it was sunny, and I'm more outgoing in the summer. I do more things, so I'm happy that it was during that time, because that did keep, I feel like it kept me stable a bit more, or it helped at least. But yeah, when the 4 months was up, I went back to the doctors, and he was kind of like, my acne had fully cleared. I didn't have any new acne, everything was good. Even the scarring that I'd had from previous breakouts were starting to go away, and it was, I was so happy. But yeah, anyways, I went in, and he was kind of like, most of the time, people will go on it for 6 months, because if you stay on it longer, more scars are gonna start to clear, and I think the chances of it coming back were not as great, or something along those lines. So he kind of gave me the option, like, if you want, you can keep taking it for another two months, like your blood tests are checking out and everything's fine, so I can give you the prescription. And at this point, I was so over it. I was not feeling great. I was pretty unhappy, so in my mind I was like, hey, if I get to stop taking these pills today, I'm gonna stop crying, and I'm gonna start feeling like great and happy again. So no, I don't want to do this for another 2 months. So I chose not to. I ended it there, and then I only had 1 more month of birth control to do, and after that I thought everything would be great and done, and it would just be amazing. But it wasn't really so. Anyways, so a month went by. I think by the time I finished like the whole Accutane birth control thing, it was September 2016. So now I've been off of it for 2 years and a half, I want to say. Yeah, 2 years and a half. So now, as far as like all the side effects, most of them started going away pretty quickly after going off Accutane. The skin dryness, like that, just kind of seemed to like the dry lips and the dry facial skin seemed to even out or get better within a month of being off the drug. The back pain went away. My joint pain went back to normal. Like I didn't have bad joint pain anymore. The sweating, that stopped. Everything went back to normal. The hair loss as well. I stopped losing my hair, and my eyelashes stopped falling out, and so did my eyebrows. Like I said before, my eyelashes grew back, and my eyebrows not so much. And my hair was fine. I did start to have to wash it more often. And as far as the mental health thing, that took quite a while for it to go back to normal. I would honestly say it took about a year for things to get back to how they were, to how I was feeling. But again, like, I don't really know if that has to do with me or the drug, or just the fact that I put so much hope into this drug, thinking that my unhappiness or my self-conscious thoughts, or like the way I felt about the way I looked, I really thought that it all had to do with acne, and that if I just got rid of that acne, that I would be really happy with the way I looked, and I'd feel confident and all of that. And well, it's not really it. I mean, you can buy all the makeup you want, you can have the nicest clothes, you can I don't know, get your hair done or whatever, and sure, all of that helps in making you feel pretty or beautiful or great about yourself, but at the end of the day, it's what's inside that really matters and counts, and it's what you think about yourself outside of all of those things that are going to make a difference. And it's not just something like acne going away that is going to make you feel great and amazing. And I think that that's what my issue was, that I thought that once I came off of it and my acne was gone, that everything would be amazing, because I wouldn't have my issue anymore. But that wasn't the case. So for about a year after that, I struggled quite a bit, and eventually things got better and I started feeling good about myself. As far as the acne thing, that never really came back, or at least nowhere near as bad as how it used to be. So now I'm at the point where it's been 2 years and a bit since I've been off of it. I do occasionally get a breakout here and there, but again, it's like 1 or 2 or 3 pimples, and it's usually always around that time of month. Otherwise, my skin is fairly clear. As far as skin, like dryness or oiliness goes, before going on Accutane, I had really oily skin all over. Now my face is pretty much dry all the time, and that is apparently very normal for people who go on Accutane. Their skin never really goes back to how it was before, and normally you do end up having dry skin for kind of like the rest of your life. So yeah, my face is now dry, but I don't really mind that. I think if I had to pick one or the other, I'd say oiliness, because that's easy. You can just apply powder or blot it or whatever, but dryness is a bit harder to deal with, I find, now that I've experienced both sides, but it means that I have less acne, so I'm happy with that. Sorry, I'm trying to remember everything that I wanted to say, but that's the last thing. If you are the kind of person, or if you are planning on going on Accutane and you want to get tattoos, you just be mindful that you might have to wait quite a while before you can actually get a tattoo. So they do recommend waiting about a year before, or 6 months to a year. I think before I got any tattoos after Accutane, I'd been off of it for a year and a half about, and even then the tattoo artist did say that my skin was very different than most, and that the ink wasn't, my skin wasn't retaining the ink the way it should be. But I mean, he still managed to be able to do it. It just took longer and was harder for him. And it was the same thing when I got my eyebrows microbladed. It took quite a few touch-ups because my skin would bleed a lot more and it wasn't retaining ink very well. So yeah, we had to go in quite a few times, and I believe that's pretty much it. Would I do it again, or if I had the same option, would I go on Accutane again? I don't know, it's tough to say because now my skin is pretty clear and I'm happy with it. And going through all of that, I mean, I'd say it's worth it because I've been through it already, but in that moment, while I was going through all of that, I don't know whether I'd be saying that it was worth it then, if that makes any sense. Like, it's easy to say now that yes, I would do it again because all the bad stuff is past. But again, I got my clear skin. Was I happy after my clear skin? Not necessarily, because I realized that I myself had to work on me and my happiness and how I felt about myself, and that changing my face or the way I looked wasn't gonna just magically make all my negative feelings towards myself go away. And that is something that I wish I'd known or realized before, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I should have put in more work or tried to work on liking myself more instead of jumping into taking a drug that I knew wasn't good for me. So yeah, I don't know, it's a tough call, and again, everyone experiences things differently. I know that some people have no issues with it, while others have the same sort of like negative experience with it as I have had. It really depends on you. If it's something you want to try and your doctor agrees, then of course, like, go for it, but just do what feels best for you. If you're not feeling great or you're not enjoying it, then just remember you can come off it. There's nothing wrong with that. And there are always going to be alternatives or different things that you can do. So yeah, that's about it as far as my Accutane journey goes. I am thinking of doing a updated skincare routine now that I don't really have acne anymore, and yeah, I will talk more about that and just look out for a video like that in the future. Alright, well, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you soon. Bye.